You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
What a beautiful day for horses in the morning.
You are listening to the #1 horse podcast in the world. Here's your entertaining look at the horse world and the people in it.
I'm Ashley Winch in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
And I'm Kat Gunther from White Lake, Michigan. You're listening to the Quarter Horse Podcast for Thursday, November 19th, brought to you by WERM Flooring. Good morning, Horse World.
You're listening to the Quarter Horse Podcast, where we explore the versatility of the world's most popular breed of horse, the American Quarter Horse.
On today's show, we're getting down with drill teams. I was going to say down and dirty, but I was like, oh, I don't know about that. This is a morning show. So, drill teams.
Not down and dirty just yet.
Let's have some coffee first.
Yeah.
Drill teams. I wasn't aware that it is such a national phenomena. I've seen them at the rodeos. Most recently, it was the sweetest thing. It was this obvious mom and daughter duo in the, let's say, 30-horse lineup. The daughter couldn't have been older than 6. And she's on this, 16-hand paint out there trotting and loping and doing the patterns. It was the sweetest thing I've ever seen in my life. We love seeing the younger generation come up. It was just so precious.
Oh, is that what your baby's going to do someday?
I mean, let's hope.
You guys going to do a drill team?
Levi, he'll be on a horse one way or another. I got my feelers out looking at some lease horses. One was a buckskin quarter horse. So
you know how I feel about quarter horses.
I know. I told Glenn, I said, if I lease a quarter horse, I'll finally be a legitimate host of this podcast.
You're legitimate. I love quarter horses.
Yeah, the love is there. But if I could have my very own, the dream. So back to drill teams.
I support it.
Kat, have you seen them at your quarter horse shows at Congress and stuff? Or is that there or just at rodeos?
No, I have not seen them at Congress or quarter horse shows. I don't think that's a class at quarter horse shows, at least the ones I've been to, but I've seen them at expos. And it's kind of interesting because the routes are based in the mounted cavalry. So military units would practice drills to coordinate their movements on horseback. And I was at an expo once and I saw a bunch of people dressed up as knights and they were doing a routine. So when I was researching the history of drill teams, I thought that was pretty interesting. I wonder if that's why they chose those costumes, so that's the only experience I have seeing drill teams in action.
But that makes perfect sense. If we think back to, I'm going to butcher those Greek horse's name, so I'm not even going to say it. But, even the heart of dressage was based in warfare movements. And, I mean, get your horses to march at somebody in the right formation. That's going to mess up the other team.
Yeah.
Should we say? So how fun that now we just watch them do drills to fun music and everything, but that it has this vicious history.
I know. It's come a long way. It laid the foundation for it though, with the specific maneuvers and the timing. It's kind of funny, like you said, going from war to, riding to party rock anthem or something. So, Ashley, can you tell us about some of the key elements of drill team riding and some common maneuvers?
Absolutely. So basically, like we've been talking about, it's all about precision and timing. Riders have to have this whole thing choreographed. Think a dressage test, but with, 20, 30 other horses in the ring doing the same or opposite test as you and not running into them at high speed. This is giving me anxiety.
I have anxiety. I could not. I think of a crowded warm-up arena.
That's what I said.
I could not.
That's exactly.
I could not. And I don't know my left and rights. I don't know if anybody out there does the thing where you make an L with your hand and then the opposite L and you're left. That's me. I'm sorry. You continue.
No, this is why we're hosts together, Kat. I also don't know my left and right. You could ask my husband right now and he's like, that's Ashley's number one weakness is that she doesn't know her left and right. At 36 years old, I said, I don't need to know left and right if I know inside outside.
Yeah. Just write when I used to take lessons as a kid, I'd write an L and an R on my hands for my little dressage tests.
You got to do what you got to do for the blue, baby.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So So basically, drill team is like synchronized swimming, but on horseback, and everything could go wrong. And it's absolutely giving me PTSD flashbacks to the warm-up rings at schooling shows, like 100%. Just everyone going full speed everywhere. Terrifying. But they do it, and it's like dancing and magical, and it's the coolest thing. If you haven't seen it, we highly recommend finding a video on YouTube because it really is quite a show of horsemanship, truly, and teamwork. You know, horseback riding is very famously an individual sport. Well, of course, our horse is our teammate. You know, we don't really have to have a captain or have teammates. And as in our today's show, we will interview the captain of a drill team, 24-karat Cowgirls specifically. And then we'll also interview one of her teammates. So we're going to get both perspectives, which is really exciting. Some of the maneuvers that you'll see are lines and circles, of course, figure eights, passing lanes, which is when riders change positions within a formation, and then reversals, quick changes of directions, think like turnbacks, spins, pivots, that kind of thing. So imagine all of these shapes, all of these riders, all of these horses. Mind you, the horses also have different speed trots, different speed canters. I mean,
different heights. I mean, they're going at different paces. It's amazing that they can match like that.
Truly.
Like if you have a 17-hand appendix quarter horse and then you have a little 14-2 quarter horse, how are you going to...
the precision of it. And then you're like not crashing into the other person. I just can't wait to get our guests on the show. Before we call our first guest, let's hear from our title sponsor, WERM Flooring. WERMFlooring.com now does your trailer roof. Leaky roofs are a common problem in horse trailers and RVs. WERM Flooring's revolutionary silicone-based coating creates a barrier against the heat and wet. First, it seals your roof to stop leaks before they start. Second, it reflects back nearly 90% of those nasty UV rays, keeping your trailer or barn up to 60 degrees cooler on a blistering day. So ditch the duct tape and the buckets, invest in long-term peace of mind with Seal and Chill. It's applied by pros for a flawless finish, and it's only $7.50 a square foot. It's a steal for cooler, drier, happier trailer or RV, which means happier horses and people. Head over to wormflooring.com to find a dealer near you.
So our first guest is April, the captain of the 24K Cowgirls equestrian drill team. We're very excited to talk to you, April. I guess my first question to start is, how did you get involved in the drill team?
I got involved with the drill team about 2 years ago. My daughter actually rides for the team, and everything just fell into place. Ran the music, and I was at every practice, every event. Yeah, that's how I got started.
Wow. So what is involved with being the captain? Do you ride on the team? Do you just coordinate everything? Like, what goes into it?
I don't ride on the team. Like I said, I did run the music, plan the practices, the spokesperson for the team, coordinate all the parades and events. I would love to ride on the team, but my medical condition would not allow me to. I had a stroke 14 years ago. So, yeah, I love horses. I love the team. We have a good group of girls, and I really enjoy just watching them ride and have fun.
That's so beautiful that you've still found a way to be involved. I'm a military spouse and we move all the time, and I too have to just kind of find my fix of horses wherever I can get it. So you mentioned you run the music. Do you also do like the choreography? How does that work? How do we go from, okay, I want our drill team to do a performance to, oh gosh, I don't know, a Carrie Underwood song, to then the performance. What does that look like? How does that evolve?
Well, we make up our own routines. It's a little bit of, everybody that does that. And we have a good time doing it. But it's a little bit of everybody that does the routine. It's not just me.
So how long does it take you to come up with the choreography? Like if you have an event coming up, how far in advance do you prepare for that?
Oh, wow. Probably it takes if we know that we got an event coming up, we try to practice twice a week for at least a month before that event. Otherwise, we just practice once a week.
And how many people are on your drill team? Like when you get together for practices, how many of y'all are running around the arena?
Currently 5, but we actually have tryouts this Saturday. And we got a couple of girls that are interested that we hope we can bring them aboard with us.
And what does tryouts look like for a drill team? Do they, I just keep relating this to dance in my mind because that's kind of the closest thing I can think of is, a dance team learning all the moves and then performing it on stage. Do they show up to the arena with their own homemade performance for you, or do you give them, 30 minutes to learn your choreography? What do tryouts look like for an equestrian drill team?
We have a tryout form. Anybody that is interested, of course, we have some rules. You have to be 18 years old and you have to have your own transportation. We, as a group, came up with just a simple routine for them to learn. Of course, when they reach out to us, we go ahead and send them that routine so they can be practicing and see the routine on paper. But we want to have these tryouts because we want the best team ever.
That makes a lot of sense. And then how many quarter horses would you say you see at tryouts?
Well, that depends on how many girls that we have interested that's going to be new for the team. I think right now we only have like three or 4. But it's like you said, it's like a dance tryout. The drill team is like dancing with horses.
I love that.
They truly are amazing. I got some amazing girls. They practice hard. They have their heart into it, and we have the mindset we're not going out there to mess up. We want to be the best that there is when we go for an event.
Oh, that's great. So I guess my question when thinking about quarter horses in the drill team, how do they compare to other breeds that you see on the teams or just on your team, on other teams? Like what qualities does a quarter horse have that makes them good at this event?
Well, everybody that's on my team right now has, they're truly quarter horses. We don't have any other breeds other than my daughter. She has a draft. Of course, we love Tommy Joe, but he is super. It's like all the horses know the routines as well. I mean, it's like when we blow the whistle, they know they're supposed to turn and get in a circle. I mean, they all do really well.
So you mentioned blowing the whistle and then turning. Is there a kind of cueing that happens as you're practicing? Is most often when I've seen drill teams, it's at the rodeo and they're putting on the show to the music and I don't hear those things. Are they happening behind the scenes and I just don't know that?
Yes. You do not hear the whistles blow when you're in the stands in the crowds. and my drill team, they talk to one another and, help each other out. But yes, we blow whistles that cues the horses and the team members, when they're supposed to turn left, right, get in the circle, change positions. But that's their cue.
I have a quick question about choosing the music. How do you go about doing that?
Trial and error. And we practice to certain songs, and we don't like to have a lot of song left over when the routine is finished. So it's kind of like we have to pick the right song for the right amount, however long the minutes of the routine and the songs. It all has to go hand in hand.
You had mentioned at the top of our interview that you got into drill teaming from your daughter. How did your daughter end up in the drill team world?
Well, Miss Debbie was a member on the 24-karat Cowgirls, and she was diagnosed with a terminal disease and passed away. And like I said, she and her husband is a long friend of my family's. And we've always had horses. My daughter's always has horses, and we showed prior to the drill team. But when Miss Debbie died, the girls wanted Madison to join the team. And of course, at the time, our horses at home that we showed with was retired. And so we contacted the husband and Miss Debbie on Tommy Joe and asked him if he would be willing to lease, because he always said Tommy Joe was not for sale. He won't go nowhere, as he was Miss Debbie's. And we asked him, could we lease Tommy Joe so that Madison would have a horse to ride on the drill team? And he said, of course, you can lease, and you can take him anywhere that you want, but he always has to come back home when he's done. So that went on for quite some time, maybe, 6 months or so. And then Mr. Donald approached me about purchasing Tommy Joe. And me and Madison, we talked about it. And from there, we purchased. And he is my daughter's. He's a big baby. He's spoiled rotten. We would not take no amount of money for him right now. And Mr. Donald knew that. And so he's got a forever home with us.
I love that. It's just, these horses are also special, And lastly, we ask all of our guests to tell us a funny story about their favorite quarter horse, whether it be in the ring, outside of the ring. So what is yours?
Funny story. Wow.
Or like a quirky thing, a quirky habit, just something that you're like, okay, that.
Okay.
Okay, got it.
It was around Halloween. We went to a Halloween show, and we dressed the horses up as well as ourselves. And we put I have Secretariat's great grandson, and we put him in a men's pajama pants, and dressed him up as Mickey Mouse. And of course, we were Minnie Mouse. And yeah, so we had a fun time with that. And he was a real trooper, being dressed up in those leotards.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, April. We really appreciate it.
Okay, I have really enjoyed it. Thanks for having me.
Confidently address your horse's unique weight needs and help optimize their overall well-being with research-proven Purina animal nutrition feeds, designed by passionate equine nutritionists. Partner with Purina to nourish your horse to their optimal body condition. Explore weight management resources for your horse today at purinamills.com/feed-finder.
Cosequin, the #1 veterinarian recommended joint health supplement brand, is excited to announce the launch of its newest supplement, Cosequin ASU Balance. This advanced formula supports joint, immune, and digestive health. Cosequin ASU Balance helps moderate the inflammatory responses that can cause immune and GI tract disturbances through the innovative inclusion of postbiotics and beta-glucans. The formula also includes the comprehensive joint support Cosequin is known for, with ingredients such as ASU, hyaluronic acid, and Boswellia serrata extract. With over 30 years behind the Cosequin name, you can rely on Cosequin products when performance matters. To learn more, speak with your veterinarian or visit cosequin.com.
Our next guest is Julie, one of the members of the 24K Cowgirls equestrian drill team. Hello, Julie. We are excited to have you today. I'm going to actually start you with the same question. How did you get involved in the drill team?
I got involved with the drill team. I'm going to kind of go back a little bit. There's a caisson unit that's local, and my boyfriend and I try to donate to causes close to home. And the caisson unit, the guy that was in charge of that was actually at one of the drill team practices. And whenever I showed up to speak to the caisson unit guy, the drill team was there practicing. And that's kind of how I got involved in it. I had no idea that they even existed.
Really? So what's the background you had with your horse beforehand? Like, what kind of things did you do?
Well, a long time ago, I used to run some game shows and stuff. I mean, nothing professional. And I would do trail rides and stuff, but never nothing like that was even close to drill.
Really? So what was that transition like going from, I mean, we were talking earlier, we're very uncoordinated people that don't know our lefts from our rights. So trying to coordinate that with other humans and horses seems very challenging. So I guess what was that transition like for you?
Well, it's kind of a struggle, really. The horse I started out on, I knew had never had any of this stuff done to him because I raised him. He was a 19-year-old quarter horse. And so I knew he had never been in an arena. He had never carried a flag. And so a whole lot of it was kind of like, kind of on a wing and a prayer, because I knew he had never experienced any of this.
So did you go through a lot of, kind of desensitizing training? I mean, with my experience with quarter horses, that's the challenge that they're up for, is going into new things with a most of the time level head, and then just bless them doing whatever we ask. So tell me what that was like from a training perspective with your quarter horse.
How I kind of got him somewhat used to a flag was I tied a flag on his saddle and I put him on a lunge line. And he kind of got accustomed to the flapping above him like that. Mm-hmm. And that was kind of how he was introduced to a flag.
So my question is, do you guys do costumes? Because I love horse show clothing, and I've seen some drill teams where they do really elaborate costumes, and I need to know, what's the fashion like?
We have not done costumes yet, but April's kind of looking at us, so we don't know what we might get into. But as far as our attire, we just always, wear a nice shirt. Sometimes we run chaps, but never no costumes.
Okay. Do costumes come more into play at, like, I don't know if there's a national show for this or some type of championship show?
I don't know how to answer that.
No problem.
That's okay. So, talking about matching, one thing that Kat and I are truly amazed of in drill teams is matching the horse's paces throughout the gates. How do you, especially as April was telling us, you guys have all quarter horses except for the one draft. How do you match pace, jogging a 14 two-hand quarter horse next to a big old draft?
Well, sometimes, and this is something that we need to work on, and I'm guilty of it myself. Sometimes I'm at a trot or a jog, and some of the other girls are at a little slow canter. But we're kind of side by side. We just got different gaits at the moment.
I see. So the gait doesn't necessarily matter as much as the speed or the pace, as long as everyone's at the same point that they're supposed to be during that part of choreography.
Yes, ma'am. We always try to teach, we always try to say, look for your partner, be lined up with your partner. And, if whether you're at a jog or a canter, you just need to keep your eye on your partner.
Tell me more about that. Tell me how the partnership, you and this other rider, are you guys mirroring each other's moves most of the time? Are you doing the same moves? Explain that a bit more to us.
We always try to say that, be kneecap to kneecap with your partner.
Okay.
Sometimes it may be side by side. Sometimes it may be on one side of the arena to the other. It could be in a circle, and you just always have your eyes on your partner.
Tell us about your quarter horse. Are you still riding the same mount that you started this journey with?
No, ma'am. I'm actually riding a little mare now. I've been riding her for close to 2 or 3 years. But I'll be honest, I have been thrown off. I've been thrown off twice during practice and one time during a performance.
Oh, no.
But nobody got hurt other than maybe my pride. But,
spoken like a true horsewoman.
Yeah, well, the old expression, cowboy up. You
That's
have to
right.
do that sometimes.
That's right.
But I call him my old man. He did not quit on me, but I had got this little mare, and I knew that if I didn't expose her, that she was never going to be what I had got her for. Because I retired Pipster, my quarter horse, at 22. He was about 22 whenever I retired him. And it was just kind of everything all over again. Sometimes I have trouble when somebody's trying to hand me a flag. Sometimes the shadows scare her. But it's just kind of, like I said earlier, a wing and a prayer.
So what do you think it is about quarter horses that make them excel in drill team?
Well, nothing against Tommy Joe, but in my opinion, there's only one horse, and that's a quarter horse. I mean, their conformation is just nice. They're pretty much, the majority of them has got brain cells. You can ask them to do something and they'll perform for you. So just a quarter horse is it.
We couldn't agree more. Hence our show, the Quarter Horse Podcast. Both Kat and I agree wholeheartedly that quarter horses excel at any sport that they do. And it's just, we love seeing the versatility of the quarter horse across different disciplines. So thank you for sharing not only your passion for the sport, but also your passion for the breed with us today.
Yes, ma'am.
And lastly, we have to ask you this because we ask all of our guests. Can you tell us a funny story or a funny quirk about your favorite quarter horse?
I'm not going to say that it's a funny story, but I raised a horse that lived to be 33 and a half years old. And he was a big old yellow Palomino, and he was a riding machine. And that's going to go back to the quarter horse part of it. But he was, he was just the ultimate. I always called him, he was too big to buck, but I always said he would try to huck a buck and get you off. But not really a funny, but just something. He was just very dear to me.
Oh, we love to hear it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Julie. It means a lot.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Quarter Horse Podcast on Horses in the Morning. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends all about the world's favorite breed of horse.